Anyway, hey, thank you so much. Hey, I wanted to start out with the actors. If the actors would please reintroduce, every one of you has appeared prior, but if you would quickly reintroduce yourselves. And my basic starting question for you is, I realize that all 6 of you have been in at least 2 of these Lost plays, and if you have any comments to share regarding the similarities or differences in your roles or in the plays themselves, I would love for you to share those thoughts with us. Actors, could someone jump in and start us off, please?
Sure, I'll go ahead and start. Hi, I'm Will Long. I played Joe Murray in this production of The Abortion, and I also played a plainclothes policeman in The Web. And besides having a lot more responsibility in this production, you know, there was an interesting reversal of roles for me. As a plainclothes policeman, I was kind of the perpetrator of injustice, and as Joe Murray, I was more in a victim state. You know, the person who the injustice has done on. And so that contrast made each night of shooting very different for me.
Great. Could someone else share, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll go.
Thank you,
my name is Kyle Goldman. I played Bull Heron in this play, Abortion. I also played Fred in Recklessness, that was shown last week. Big differences between the 2 characters. Fred, who is a bit more crucial to the plot of Recklessness, far more serious role. This play, Abortion, I actually got to play a comedic role, which is, for a play called Abortion, it was actually kind of a nice breath of fresh air, and nice to, you know, get things going with the play. You know, started off on a happy note, but, you know, some actors come in and make it too serious. So, but I guess that's what happens when you call a play Abortion. So, yep, there you go.
Great. Anyone else? John Tessmer, would you, or Ryan, or Emily?
We'll let Emily go next, I guess, or save the ladies for last here, the best for the last. Anyway, my name's John Tessmer, and I played Mr. Townsend in this, and along with Will, I played a plainclothes policeman in The Web, and I really enjoyed that play, all of it, in fact, being part of it, and then coming in at the end with my fellow plainclothes policeman. There was one other as well. That was a lot of fun to come in kind of at the climax of that play. Very serious, and yet of course in this play I got to delve in a little more deeply with some scene work with Emily and also with Ryan, who was playing my son. So I really enjoyed that as well.
Great. Cynthia or Emily, do you have anything to share besides your names?
Okay, I'll go. I'm Cynthia Lagodzinski. I played the mom, and last weekend I played the thwarted maid who had been the previous lover of the lead entrance of the lead in that show. And so these 2 were very different. The maid was a lot more sneaky and conniving and bitter, and this mom is, you know, completely the opposite. She has no reason to suspect anything. Everything's lovely. She's parent to the golden child son and the slightly overwrought daughter, and everything seems great. So I thought that was kind of fun that they were both so different.
Thank you. Emily or Ryan, either of you guys?
I'll go.
Yes, thank you.
I really enjoyed playing this part because she's so young, and it was just super fun to play something completely different that I don't normally get to play anymore. So that was super, and that energy and kind of the energy that we had in the beginning was so different, as Eric, I don't know if he already said, but it's so different than the rest of the play. It's like 2 different plays in one go. But it was really fun to play that part, and something light and silly. as opposed to the other two, which were a little more serious. Recklessness being kind of a woman trapped in a world that she thought she could maybe break free of, but then she ends up not. And then the web being very similar, where she kind of knows she's not going to break out, but then there's this one glimmer of hope that is taken away from her again. So that theme seems to come up a lot. But it was so much fun to play, such different characters, and I hope that you all enjoyed the different versions.
Great, thank you, thank you. Ryan, are you able to join us at the moment? Okay, he's muted apparently. Anyway, hey, maybe we'll get Ryan back here. Oh, there you are.
Yep, I'm here. Sorry, I'm driving around. I'm up in the Rockies right now. So yes, I played Tim Moran in The Web from 2 weeks ago, and this one is Young Townsend. I'm sorry, what was my first name in this? My hearing isn't as good here. Anyhow, there's a huge difference in characters. Playing a gangster with a big heart in The Web, and playing a very privileged young man who's, I guess, being taught that at a very young age that his privilege is okay, and that to live a privileged life like this, if you can get away with that, you can continue like this. In a sense, he's scolded by his father, but that's about it. So, yeah, that's a big difference, I think.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I do have a few questions here. Some I think I have to answer real quickly, but some people have asked, why is there no Evelyn, the fiance? Who in the script, Evelyn, the fiance is there. I will tell you that the art of theater is the art of dealing with solving problems. We lost an actor. And I went to the script and I said, what purpose does Evelyn serve? And pretty much she just is in there to fawn over Jack and build him up. And I said, why don't I see if I can make Lucy, the sister, take over some of those lines? So actually Emily was playing line-wise, she was playing both the sister Lucy and some of Evelyn's lines as Lucy, and I thought it actually worked quite well. I also think it's a little bit interesting that both of the women that Jack Townsend is involved with, Nellie, Joe Murray's sister, and Evelyn, both of them are in this version of it or don't actually physically appear in the play. And I think that's a little bit interesting. And then somebody also asked, why are they lost plays and how were they found? And I know I have a few scholars in here who probably could tell me more than I know, but my shorthand answer for that is that the title Lost Plays comes from a book of early O'Neill plays that was published in 1950 that referred to these plays as lost plays. Some of them had previously been produced but kind of forgotten, and many of them had never been produced, and I think generally O'Neill wanted all of them to be forgotten. But some publisher found them and decided they'd put them together in a collection. And they were produced in O'Neill's time, his lifetime, but they were public domain. He didn't bother to re-copyright them, so they just kind of went out into the world. Another question, I think I'd like to open this up to everyone else, but to the cast, is there a message that you think will be meaningful for our society at this time? For instance, how to respond to mistakes, how to respond to anger, what changes you'd like to see in our society, etc. Does anyone have anything to share about broader messages for society with this play or with any of these lost plays?
Yeah, I'm happy to take the ball again.
Thank you.
It was more subtle in this one, but in some of the other ones, tuberculosis was a lot more prevalent in the script. In this one, my character, if you notice here, there's a couple occasions on which he had a coughing fit. That was kind of a nod to the tuberculosis that's often the theme in Eugene O'Neill's plays, and no doubt we'll be seeing a string of plays reflecting on this era that may touch on COVID. And not to mention the discussion around health and women's rights and abortions. You know, sometimes I think to myself, man, what a crazy time I live in. And, you know, if I'd been born 100 years earlier, I'd be still living with the same issues. So it's kind of one of those times where you think that your issues are singular to you or to your era, when in fact, you know, these are old problems, and we're still trying to get it right. So, you know, and some of it is
Hello? Oh, did you get
as
lost?
many people as possible. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else have any to share on that idea of broader messages for society in today? Yes, Emily?
I think the just kind of it's so hard to talk about this, but because it's such a hot topic, but I think just the subject of abortion and the fact that it's not that it doesn't, if you make it illegal, it's not that it doesn't happen, it's just really dangerous and people usually die. So it's like when people start arguing about whether abortion should be legal or not because they're afraid of babies dying, it's like, well, they're happening anyway. So why not make it safe? You know, why put people at risk? And then why also not having, you know, now we have way more options in terms of birth control and giving people, you know, education about that. So it's like, why wouldn't we capitalize on that now? And knowing what happened, you know, this story is so relevant and so just heartbreaking.
Right, thank you. Anyone else have anything on that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I always have a strong reaction to anti-abortion things because I was adopted at birth in the late 60s. And so I easily could have been aborted by my mother. And I wasn't, which I'm always thankful for, but I always felt like if she'd had that safe choice, you know, I feel like she should have had that safe choice. And so I've always been very sensitive to the concept of her having to go out as an 18-year-old and have to do something that maybe she didn't even have a choice in the beginning of why that even occurred to her. So I'm thankful that, you know, she did take care of it in the way that resulted in me. That's nice. But I still, even being a child who could have been aborted, I still have the same belief that she should have the right to make a choice that would have been safe for her. And she didn't have the safety. She had to go live with family and all these different things. But I find it very upsetting because so many of they don't think of the aftermath of what happens after that non-abortion, of forcing someone to go through with something and what occurs to them later. And so it's always been a very tender and important topic to me that women have that right. And I've always felt like, you know, that's fine to say that it's a terrible thing, and it is, but what do you do to prevent it? What do you do after it? And to stop it. Don't want to have abortions, then help people not get pregnant without wanting to be pregnant. So that's my take on that one. But I felt like this play was really interesting because she's a classic case, whether it's 1920 or 1965, that's what happened. Women had no choice. And when they went forward with trying to do something safe to get themselves out of a situation, they wound up dead more often than not. So yeah, I think it's terrifying to think that we're still fighting that 50 some odd years later. And 150 years later from this particular piece.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let me move on. A couple of questions. One I think I have to answer, but Eric, can you explain why you changed the ending? The ending as written has Jack Townsend shoot himself and Evelyn come back in and scream. And one, I thought, I like ending a play with my main character, and to have the play end with Evelyn, who I decided I didn't actually necessarily even need in the play, really didn't seem like the way I wanted to end it. And I would say Joe Murray says it. When he basically says it's too good for you. When he talks about shooting, it's too good for you. And I kind of feel that way about Jack Townsend. If he shot himself, he gets to go free. I mean, he's dead, but he's free. And I much rather like the idea of him being in purgatory. As I've said before, I'm a big fan of the Twilight Zone, and I like the idea that he's in his personal hell. And I think that's a more powerful ending to me than just having him escape with a bullet. So anyway, also somebody asked, oh, where'd it go? And moved on me. Actually, somebody following up on the idea of Evelyn's removal affects the audience. Does that affect the audience's understanding, perception of Nellie? I don't know if anyone has any feelings about that. I really didn't think, I mean, the only thing that would add, Evelyn's presence would add is a physical body. And there's one line that Joe Murray that I left in that says, "I saw you," but with her. But that doesn't mean they saw, you know, in that space. It could have been somewhere else on campus with her. I don't miss Evelyn that much. I think I don't feel that she adds that much to the play. So in this case, that's how I feel.
I think people will be in the comments too.
Yeah. Here, I'm just looking. If anyone has anything they love to say, please just say it right now. Okay, yeah, I see some people talking about that, but thank you. I'm looking for a question. I thought I just saw it. Oh, any thoughts about the discourse? Okay, here, the discourse about abortion, the men talking about women's reproductive rights is strikingly contemporary. And were you thinking of this as well? I mean, it sounds a little bit like a director question, but was anyone else really struck by the idea that this play is got a bunch of men talking about what happens to women? Was anyone else struck by that in any way? Good, bad, indifferent?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I was. And I think it's very eerie. Again, as Will and Cynthia have talked about, how 100 years later, we've made some progress, but there's still far too much of that going on. And I was definitely thinking about that. And somebody else just pointed out in the chat that Nellie is an invisible character, and given no lines or presence or choice in the matter. Jack's character says he thought it was best for her and them and everybody. So he was the decider, and she was completely powerless. So the quote unquote irony of the men holding the power and making the decisions, it was certainly not lost on me, or I dare say the rest of the cast.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, I've got a question basically about the idea of spring and commencement and education, and I think that's actually kind of interesting. Wondering if there were conversations about springtime graduation education in your rehearsals or pre-work. One thing I'm aware of is that this was like probably, you know, Jack's, I mean, actually it's in Donald or Bull's line about usually a star player kind of fades at the end, you know, and in this case he didn't. He's you know, won the big game, and I'm assuming that means that he's graduating. And I just think it's very interesting. The timing of this play is basically, if all this went down a week later, he would have been gone. That this is just like right before graduating, leaving town, leaving this life, going on to his probably privileged existence. Joe Murray shows up at his dorm room just at the last moment and really changes everything for him. And I do think that's interesting. Anyone have any thoughts about Ryan? Did you have any thoughts about? I'm just curious about your place in your character's place in the world, and I don't know. I'm just curious how the play would go if Joe Murray didn't walk into the room for you. Do you have anything to share about what you were working with and the idea of how things changed for you? Okay, I think he's muted. Guys, I think we're at the end here. I'm going to just quickly scan here.
Okay, so sorry, there I am. I think you can hear me.
Yes, yes.
So sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's so tragic that Nelly is in the show, you know, but it's also, I think that's some of the commentary that Eugene O'Neill's saying, you know, that this is a tragically men's world, you know, where women are swept aside. And I think that Jack, you know, I don't know, just keep coming back to the idea of privilege, of male privilege, of white privilege, and all these things that he's been born into. And, you know, I don't think he's a monster or anything, but you see that so easily he's able to get out of the situation, this problem. And you know, I don't know, like in this version of the play where he doesn't kill himself, he has to live with it, but does he tell anybody? That's what I wonder. You know, I mean, he has the option then to kind of go on and to keep it a secret. He has the option to. He doesn't. He has to live with it forever now, which I think is a stronger choice that you made, Eric. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a quick comment, a couple questions about whether the word abortion is ever used. I believe we use the word operation, and I think the termination is used, but definitely not the word abortion. Am I correct, Dad? I mean, John Tesmer? I think you never actually say it, do you?
That's correct. Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be, yeah, it doesn't seem like something someone in your position would actually deign to say. You would try to not say it. It's not a proper thing to acknowledge in that way. And then I would just, you know, guys, I think just like to wrap up. I've got one question or one thing for the actors. I just wanted to say, if any of the actors are have anything coming up that you'd like to plug and tell us about, I'd love to hear about it. I will start by saying that I'm going to be directing a Zoom production of Eugene O'Neill's short play Shell Shock at the with the Metropolitan Playhouse in New York on November 7th, 3 weeks from now. I'll be doing that. It'll be interesting. It'll be, you know, I'll be working with actors from New York here from my Danville kitchen. But it should be very interesting, and I hope you'll check that out. It's at the Metropolitan Playhouse. But guys, I know, Cynthia, could you plug what you plugged from your car last week? And if anyone else has anything else to share about what you're going to be doing, we'd love to hear it.
Okay, so I just played Lysistrata in the Greek comedy by Aristophanes, Lysistrata. And it's a very funny piece. It's very all about sexual politics as she gets all the women of Greece to band together to refuse sex to their husbands until their husbands agree to a peace treaty to stop the Peloponnesian Civil War in Greece. And oddly enough, it works. Amazing what the power of sex can do. So it's a funny piece. It's actually cast with all women, which makes it a lot of fun as the women get dressed up with these giant phalluses hanging off of them when the time span of non-sex has just gotten too long, no pun intended. And so we just filmed it in the parking lot by the Pear Theater, and it looks a little bit like that, but it still has a lot of fun things. It did get fully costumed. It's with the Pear Theater in Mountain View, which I believe is called thepear.org for the website. And then it's just look for Lysistrata and get a ticket, and you can see it between now and mid-November anytime you want, as long as you buy tickets. So it's a kick. Make a drinking game out of it. Every phallic joke, I would say, take a swig of something. It's worth it. You probably would get pretty toasted by the end. But thank you.
Sure. Anyone else have any upcoming projects you'd like to tell us about right now?
Yeah, sure. I filmed a play called The Compton's Cafeteria Riot that had a production in San Francisco back in 2018. I wasn't a part of it, but we filmed each actor on a green screen separately so that we wouldn't have to have any interactions between two actors close up. That should be getting released before the end of the year. And then this one's up in the air. I was supposed to do Troilus and Cressida with Marin Shakespeare this past summer. Obviously, it got postponed. It got postponed to next summer. So fingers crossed that we get to do something out of that play with Murray and Shakespeare. And yeah, that's all I got.
Cool, thank you. Anyone else, John or Emily or Will or Ryan, anything else you got?
Well, I guess since we're in a virtual world, I can share with everybody across the country. I know we've got several people on here on this call from San Diego. Thanks for tuning in, Susan and Elaine and Amy and Rob. And Courtney was here. But anyway, anybody can go check out a collaboration that I've helped direct between the San Diego Shakespeare Society and the San Diego Museum of Art. We will have getting released via video on Halloween, 5 videos of actors performing in 4 cases Shakespeare and in another case Emily Dickinson, pieces that are paired with artworks from the San Diego Museum of Art. So you can go to either their website initially or ultimately the San Diego Shakespeare Society website and check out what some other talented actors are doing besides the ones I was privileged to work with up in the Bay Area on this project.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll just say keep your eye on the Gene O'Neill website and email blasts, and you may see me again soon.
Okay, yes, that could happen. Ryan or Emily, anything? No? Okay, all right. Well, we'll have to find something for you. Trust me. Well, anyway, I just want to say, thank you to Allie and Teresa who helped with these premieres behind the scenes. Thank you to these 6 actors and the 3 others, all 9 actors who worked on these Lost plays. Thank you to Rob Evans, who did the sound design for all 3 of the plays. Thank you to all the scholars who contributed videos that are on our website now about these plays, and the students from Miami University of Ohio who put together these great packets of information about the play Abortion and the play The Web. I think that's fantastic. And a big thank you to all the audience. Thank you all for joining us. This is a challenging year, and you're keeping the torch burning for Eugene O'Neill, and we really appreciate it. And just please go to eugeneo'neill.org in the future. We hope to have more for you there. But thank you all for being here, and have a really good night. Okay? Bye-bye.